The Jaguars invade the jungle to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Kyle, another week in football. Week 4 is upon us.
Week 4, and we're getting more and more data. And of course, they're giving us all these barn burners on Thursday night football. Now, I guess there's a little excitement, right? The 2 past number 1 overall picks, Burrow and Lawrence. So there's certainly some excitement there. I'm looking forward to week 4. I think the lines and the team totals this week are really sharp. There's some spots that I do like, but for me, it was difficult this week. Even week 1, I was like, okay, I really like some spots. Now it didn't work out with the Vikings, obviously, but this week I think the lines are really, really sharp. So we're gonna have to dot our I's, cross our T's, maybe do some first half betting, find some efficient team totals. It's gonna be a fun week. Looking forward to today. And of course, if you don't get enough today, make sure you join us on Sunday, right?
Yeah, the interesting part about this card also, Kyle, as you go over, there's a lot of things that I liked about it, but I'm just taking a look and try to equate it because we do the show here on a Thursday. And as you know, Wednesday, you get those first practice reports. Thursday by tonight, you'll know probably who's in and out. Friday, the most important part of the week, because if you don't practice Friday, there's a really good chance you're not going to play on Sunday. So there are some things I like. I always like to come prepared on a Thursday. I have one team total I really like. When we get to the game, you get the seal of approval. We'll go over it. We'll have some fun with that and make some money. But this week, maybe a little bit more of a slow play. Last week I came on the show. What was my team total play for that day? That was the Chargers, and that worked out very well. So hopefully we'll get some of the early week magic here because I do like a game a lot, and I'll explain why in just a little bit. But tonight, the Jaguars will take on the Bengals. But before we do that, some business to attend to. 89,900 people have hit the subscribe button here on sportsbookreview.com. Thank you guys for that. If you're watching on replay, which so many of you guys do, watching it live, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, we don't ask for much. Trade the information, have the information. Let's have some fun in the chat box. But that's the only thing we ask. Turn your notification bells on so we go live to talk NFL football. You can come in here and say hello with us. And also, get in the Pick 6 contest, which we'll go over a little bit later. $50,000 up for grabs during the 2021 football season. If you like college football, great. If you like professional football, that's great. If you want to mix and match, 6 picks in the NFL, 6 picks in college football, 3 and 3, 4 and 2, 5 and 1. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want, just pick winners here. $1,600 up for grabs each and every week. Everybody bringing the pain already in the chat box. So let's start. Thursday night football tonight, Kyle. The Jaguars and the Bengals setting the table in this one tonight. Hasn't moved all that much from when we did the show on Monday. 7.5 still across the board. So over a touchdown favorite, theoretically, would have to win by double digits probably to get this cover. Now, the interesting part about this game is not that I don't think Cincinnati will win the game. I do. But what are we used to, Kyle? Cincinnati getting 7.5 points, not laying 7.5 points. Jacksonville is not a good football team. We understand that. It's a short week. It's a rookie quarterback. They've lost, 18 games in a row as a franchise. I don't think they win tonight. But I'm not exactly excited, Kyle, to run to the table and say, or run to the gate and say, I want this 7.5. I want to lay the 7.5. I want to take the 7.5. I do think we get points here. So a good starting point tonight. I think the Bengals win this football game, and there's some good prop bets here that I really like about this game. But I'm not all that excited, Kyle, by laying the 7.5 here.
No, neither am I. I like the first half -4 exponentially better under a touchdown there, and I think that's certainly a nice way to go tonight. I put a little sprinkle on Bengals -4 in the first half. And, look, we got to adjust with the times. People love teasers. I'm hearing more and more and more and more about teasers. There's a nice teaser spot as well. If you get the Bengals down to 1.5, I think they win this game. I mean, there's no scenario right now, unless they're playing the Jets, that I will back Jacksonville. It's just too tough for me. Everything that I've watched on tape, this team looks lost. I don't like the coaching schemes. I don't like what the defense looks like. That defensive secondary looks lost play after play. They're not good against the run. There's a lot of things not to like. I mean, they've given up the 5th most fantasy points to running backs, the 10th most to quarterbacks, the 11th most to wide receivers. It's hard to back Jacksonville. So it's Bengals or bust for me, but I got to get it to a spot where I feel comfortable about it. That's why I did the -4 in the first half. And for all you, trying to pack together 5 or 6 games for a teaser spot, I think get teasing the Bengals down to 1.5 or 2 makes a whole lot more sense than trying to hold the bag with the Bengals team that you need to win by double digits.
Yeah, you do need to win by double digits. But if we break it down, and again, we like to sometimes look at these games in the common elements here. Jacksonville's not a very good football team. Do I love Cincinnati? Not necessarily. But let's take a look after the surprise teams that we look at this year. Carolina Panthers 3-0 if they beat the Dallas Cowboys, which I'm not sure they do, but that would make them 4-0, which is crazy. How about the leaders in the AFC North after tonight's victory at 3-1? not the Pittsburgh Steelers, not the Cleveland Browns, not the Baltimore Ravens. You guessed it, the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a good football team, but we're trying to flip it over to what we like. The same way we took a look, Kyle, last Sunday, right? The Las Vegas Raiders open up the season as dogs, won. Second game of the year versus Pittsburgh, dogs, won. Third game of the season, favorites, won, but didn't cover. So just we're looking, I like where you're going with the teaser, because if you're looking for a teaser from an aspect, hey, if you step into the Hornets nest and it says, hey, you know what, this team lost 18 in a row and just won outright on the road on a Thursday night, you tip your cap and you move on. I think the Bengals win. Let's take a look at some prop bets in this game that I do think are good. And also an odds boost we'll talk about in just a few moments. There's two passing props that I like, receiving props that I like in this game. I don't necessarily love the two quarterbacks roughly thrown for 250. Do I think they both can? I sure do. But I have a same game parlay I'm going to explain in just a few moments. But just prop bets alone, I love Tyler Boyd. Steady guy, 5 to 6 catches a game. He's going to get over his number 10 at 62.5 receiving yards. That's a bad secondary for the Jacksonville Jaguars and a bad defense overall. No T. Higgins. So you're going to have Jamar Chase. You're going to have Tyler Boyd taking up most of those options at the wide receiver position. I think he gets home here. Also, from the other side, if I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, Kyle, are going to lose this game, I'm also going to look for a receiving prop. I'm going to go with the talented kid here, and that's DJ Chark, 48.5 receiving yards to the over. In the fourth quarter, if they're down, they'll be passing. He's a talented guy, a nice arm here, as we know, for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if their offense is going to be all that smooth tonight, but I would be surprised if Trevor Lawrence doesn't drop back and throw 30-plus times in this game, and that also should trigger DJ Chark to get around 50 yards. No big plays, Kyle. No 70 yards, 80 yards, 90 yards we need. Just have solid games out of each side. I think I can get both of those. Any prop bets you're looking at tonight before we get to some maybe same-game parlays and odds boost here?
Absolutely. And so you talked about some of the Jaguars receivers, and it's interesting. Tonight, they will not have Chidobe Awuzie, or very unlikely. So it looks like Trey Waynes will finally make his debut for the Bengals alongside Eli Apple and Mike Hilton. I mean, it's a real who's who of players who get torched. And then you flip it to the other side, of course, the Jaguars. They trade away C.J. Henderson, a number 9 overall pick from a couple years ago, for Dan Arnold, the tight end. It's a very bizarre trade, one I didn't really get from either. So I guess I could see it from Carolina's perspective, you know, trying to get a high upside type defensive back and an already pretty solid secondary. But I'm with you. I like the receiving prop. Tyler Boyd, you hit on it. If you follow us on Twitter, that's my prop play of the day. I have it at 63.5. That's at minus 115. You mentioned no T. Higgins, so it's going to put more of the onus on Chase and on Tyler Boyd to get it done. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, they're just going to run the ball to death with Joe Mixon. I wouldn't be so sure about that. It's a short week. We know the injury history of Joe Mixon, so there's a lot of concern there. They may take it a little bit easier on him and sort of revert back to throwing. Now, again, when this game gets later and if they're up in a comfortable way, which I think we all sort of expect here, there's nothing that Jacksonville has done that makes you want to hold the bag with them at all whatsoever. And shout out to our colleague, Jay Money, out there in the chat box. I'm talking to you on the Jags right now. When I watch tape, the only team that looks worse than Jacksonville is the Jets. Jacksonville is lost. Their route concepts are bad. Their defensive concepts are bad. Their clock management is bad. Their play calling, I don't like. When I just go through that game and I check off positives and negatives, it's exponentially more to the negative side for Jacksonville. So it's Bengals or bust for me on this. So, but I love that Tyler Boyd prop. Another one that I like on the Jacksonville side is James Robinson, over 24.5 yards receiving. 15 targets over the last 3 weeks, 6 targets last week, finally getting the bulk of the snaps, playing about 69% of the offensive snaps. If you're going to target him 6 times, 24.5 seems like a pretty easy number to get over. So I like that quite a bit as well. I'm with you. You're getting a good number on DJ Chark. I'm looking at 51.5, but he does have a nice matchup on the outside. When you look at it, he's going to see a lot of Trey Waynes. Trey Waynes making his debut. DJ Chark plays on the perimeter 88% of his offensive snaps. So it's going to be Eli Apple, who's giving up a reception on 23% of his defensive routes that are passes. That's a high number. So he's going to see Apple and Waynes. I do think DJ Chark gets that as well. And I know you love your odds boost, Donnie, so I made sure to come prepared with the odds boost. And they have this interesting one
Hold
on
on,
FanDuel.
Yo,
Oh,
Esteban back there. Flip it up for Kyle, because he never leads the way on odds boost. I want to make sure we
never. I
save
did
this
it just
moment
for
right
you.
now. So flip up that odds boost if you can, so we can start talking. Yeah, there we go. Go ahead, Kyle. I had to make sure they treated you properly behind the scenes. Go
I
ahead.
really appreciate it. And I never get my requests, so it's good that you did it for me because that's the only way. That's the
The
only
mic
way that
only
I get
works.
it.
My microphone only works in his ear. So go ahead now.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. That makes a ton of sense. So they have this cool thing, and it just came off of my screen. It was about 7,000 people did it, but it was a six-pack boosted up to plus 1432. I'm going to try to do it off of memory here since they pulled it down. But I thought, oh, here it is. Here it is. Now we have it. So it's 6 selections here. You're getting alternate numbers on this. We've got Joe Mixon, anytime touchdown score. I believe that prop's at like minus 250 or 225. If you play it on its own. Trevor Lawrence, who has been running with the football and, as you know, young quarterbacks, athletic, over 16 and a half yards receiving. Jamar Chase to score a touchdown. I mean, he's done nothing but score touchdowns for the Bengals this year. Joe Mixon, over 60 yards rushing. Again, I talked about Jacksonville's struggles against the run. This is probably the one that makes me the most nervous. Joe Burrow, 250 plus yards passing. I do think he gets there tonight because
is that an odds boost, or are you just making a parlay up over
no,
here?
it's a six parlay odds boost. You can put $10 to win $143.20 at FanDuel. And the Cincinnati Bengals money line, it's boosted to plus 1432. It's an awesome boost on FanDuel. I think it's a lot of fun, and it gives you something to root for in what might be, otherwise a non-interesting game. Love that little odds boost over there as well.
All right, Lawrence and Burrow over 199 and a half yards apiece tonight is plus 100 at Caesars. Already took a piece of that. That should get there. Hey, if somebody throws for 165 yards in this game tonight, you tip your cap and move on. But that seems like a good one. It's a max bet of only $25, but $25 at plus 100 is $25. It's a couple pizzas for this weekend. No doubt in my mind, Lawrence and Burrow should be able to at least get to 200 yards, which plays right into my FanDuel same game parlay that I have listed at plus 117. If you follow me on Twitter at RightSideVP, when I have some prop bets out here that make some sense, I tweet them out quite a bit. I also have a prop bet that I already fired on yesterday, which we'll go over in a football game, which is also out on Twitter. The same game parlay I have tonight, it seems very easy. It seems like an easy one to do. I didn't want to take a long shot here, Kyle, like plus 250, plus 400, plus 1,600. We can hit some of those. I almost hit a 55 to 1. If Taylor Heinicke could have got in inside the 5, that didn't happen. Go ahead.
I hit a 55 to 1 last year on Monday night, the Giovanni Bernard. It was an epic night. It was with these Bengals, 60 yards rushing, a touchdown and 14 carries. I'll never forget it. One of the more epic nights of our now defunct Monday night football series.
There you go. By the way, same game parlay here. Mixon to get 50 or more rushing yards on the ground. I think that's certainly doable. Second in this one, the Bengals alt line plus 3.5. So if they lose the football game in a tight battle, still going to be able to get that done. Boyd, wide receiver for the Bengals, over 40 yards receiving as an alt price. And then the last one, Trevor Lawrence, which factors into that promotion there at Caesars on the odds boost, over 200 or more yards passing tonight. So if all four of those hit, I put $100 at it, tweeted it out, pays back 117. I think that's a doable one. Some of these same game parlays are a lot of fun, Kyle, because you usually think of a normal parlay. You have to hit the lines, right? Well, I want to take the Bengals at minus 7.5 and the over 46. They're true game numbers. But you can slide in some of these alt prices here and say to yourself, like, hey, do I think Joe Mixon can run for 85 yards or 88 yards and get his number? I do. But you know what I really love? Him to get 50 or more rushing yards just in case. Because when we looked at last Thursday night's football game, Christian McCaffrey, line him up across the board. He's going to do whatever, and he gets injured in that game. So maybe if Mixon gets injured and banged up, he's got 51 yards on the ground here, and you can sort of hopefully cash that ticket in. But those are some fun wagers to certainly look at tonight. But the game is not a great one. Look, the design of Thursday Night Football is to get people to watch, but it's also to give some of the other teams in the league a chance to have prime time. Keep in mind here, Thursday nights are designed for bad football teams to play, but we watch. If both myself and Kyle were looking at this game on 1 o'clock on Sunday, I don't have any prop bets. I don't have any same game parlays, but the fact that it is a primetime game and we talk about it, we're going to try to give some edges. So on the game itself, I don't love the 7.5, but I think the Bengals are going to win. Do I think points are going to be scored tonight? Absolutely I do. But at the same time, I'm trying to knock down some of those prices here, Kyle, to make a profit tonight.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I went Bengals first half -4. I'm not holding the bag with them over a touchdown, needing them to win by 10. Should they? Yes. Is Jacksonville that bad? Absolutely. But for me, again, I think it's a great teaser spot, getting it down to 1.5. If you're making one of those, 6, 7-pack, 5-pack teaser spots, this is one of the spots that really stand out to me. And I think they're up by a touchdown at the half. I think the Bengals come out hot. They're at home, prime time. young quarterback. Jacksonville looks bad.
Yeah.
So the -4 in the first half makes a whole lot of sense to me. That's the way I'm going to go about it tonight.